the seizure of everything. Fallout, dude. The first 5 things government will see during a crisis and how to hide them. I'm guessing that they have email of some sort at Fallout Raccoon USA. So, I'll lead up into this and then I'll whack it around and you can watch it. How is everything taken? Actually, we'll watch it first. How's that?
Yeah, let's watch it first, Uncle Dave.
First of all, I'm not your uncle. I don't have any brothers and sisters.
Oh.
And don't you dare call me mister. Why? Because that refers to a citizen.
We got one.
Oh, good for you. You've done really well. Yeah, of course I am.
It is a brand new day. The sun is bright and the wind blows strong. You don't know it yet, but you are about to lose everything you have prepared for before sunset. Not from robbers, nor from looters, but from the very institute that was supposed to protect you. It's early January, on a clear Tuesday morning. You're standing in your driveway, mostly because the concept of weekends dissolved about 4 days ago along with the power grid. A nice young man in a high visibility vest is smiling at you. He's not holding a weapon, he's holding a form with a government seal on it. He asks politely if you have any extra fuel stored in your garage because the local hospital's backup generator is failing. You hesitate, you feel guilty, you feel like a citizen. So you point to the jerry cans in the shed. And just like that, you didn't get robbed, you got processed. If that scenario makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, click off this video and go wait for the relief truck that isn't coming. For the rest of you paranoid intellects, welcome back. Most people think the government kicks down doors with battering rams. They don't. They use executive orders, emergency powers, and the polite social pressure that makes you hand over your survival gear to a government bureaucrat named Kevin. But don't worry, because today we are breaking down the first 5 things the government will legally seize when the lights go out, and exactly how to make sure those things vanish before the clipboard army arrives. Item 1. The liquid gold. Let's start with the fuel sitting in your garage right now. The average suburban dad thinks he's Mad Max because he has 2 red plastic containers of ethanol-blended gasoline next to his lawnmower. Here is the reality. Under mandates like the Defense Production Act or Executive Order 13603 here in the States, energy resources are the very first asset to be centralized. When the supply chain snaps, fuel doesn't belong to you, it belongs to critical infrastructure. That means if you have a visible, registered, or obvious fuel tank, you are essentially just holding on to it for them. You aren't a survivalist, you're a storage facility. The mistake here is volume and visibility. If you have a giant 500-gallon tank in your backyard, you might as well paint a bullseye on your roof. So, how do you hide a flammable liquid that smells like dinosaur ghosts? You decentralize. Stop trying to be a gas station. Instead of one giant tank, you use smaller, portable containers spread across your property. Some in the shed, some in the basement, some in the back of the truck. And you use decoy cans. Leave 2 empty or half-full cans right by the garage door. When the requisition team shows up, you hand those over with a heavy sigh. They get their win, they check a box, and they leave. Meanwhile, your actual supply is tucked away behind a false wall in the pantry. If you're relying on a stockpile everyone can see, you're not prepping, you're just gathering supplies for the White House. Item 2. The precious metals, aka the shiny rocks. Next up, we have the fantasy of every internet tough guy, gold and silver. You've seen the movies, the world ends and suddenly everyone is trading gold coins like 17th century pirates. Here is the history lesson most people skip. In 1933, Executive Order 6102 made it illegal for US citizens to own monetary gold. They didn't need a metal detector to find it, they just made it impossible to use. If you tried to buy bread with a gold bar, you went to jail. In a modern crisis, they won't go door to door for your wedding ring. They'll just suspend the convertibility of precious metals or flag any transaction involving them as black market activity. If you are stacking generic gold bars, you are investing in a paperweight that could get you arrested. The workaround is legal perception. Historically, there was an exemption for collectible or numismatic coins. They weren't considered currency, they were considered art or history. So instead of buying the big shiny I'm a hoarder bullion bars, you look for older circulated coins, junk silver, pre-1964 quarters, things that look like pocket change to a looter but hold silver value to a trader. You hide them in plain sight. A jar of pennies on a bookshelf is boring. A safe labeled gold is a loot crate. If this is starting to make you realize your safe is basically a gift box for the National Guard, do me a favor and hit the like button. It confuses the algorithm and validates my trust issues. Item 3. The food on your table. Let's talk about your pantry. The biggest myth in the survival community is the gray man. Everyone thinks they can blend in. But let me tell you, when everyone else has lost 10 pounds and you're walking around looking well-fed and smelling like beef stew, you're not blending in, you're glowing. Governments enact anti-hoarding laws almost immediately during shortages. During the world wars and even recent pandemics, having excess was framed as unpatriotic. Your neighbors, yes, the nice ones who wave at you, will report you, not because they're evil, but because their kids are hungry and they saw you carrying in 6 bags of rice last month. The seizure mechanism here isn't the police, it's social pressure followed by a search warrant. The fix isn't burying MREs in the woods where the raccoons will eat them. The fix is architectural camouflage. Stop putting your food on open shelves in the garage. Use dead space. Under the floorboards of a closet, behind the drywall in the laundry room, inside empty suitcases in the attic. You want a public pantry that looks bare. Keep a few boxes of pasta and some sad-looking cans of peas on the main shelf. When the neighbors peek in the window, they need to see you struggling, not feasting. Item 4. Your ability to talk. Communication equipment. I know, you have a Baofeng radio you don't know how to program and a stack of walkie-talkies. In a declared state of emergency, control over information is priority number 1. The Communications Act of 1934 gives the president the authority to suspend or seize wire and radio communications. In modern terms, that's the internet kill switch and jamming frequencies. If you are broadcasting on open channels, you are triangulating your own location. You're basically shouting, "Here I am, come take my stuff." The government doesn't need to seize your radio to stop you, they just jam the signal. But if they see an unregistered ham radio setup, they can confiscate it as a matter of national security. Hide the antenna. That massive tower on your roof, that's not a hobby, that's a beacon. Use attic antennas. Use wire antennas you can spool out into a tree at night and reel in by morning. And for the love of everything holy, get your electronics into a Faraday bag when you're not using them. Not just to stop an EMP, but to stop your devices from shaking hands with local cell towers and logging your location history. If you're still watching this, congratulations! You've outlasted the 80% of viewers who clicked off because they prefer comforting lies. And that brings us to the worst part, the asset they want most. They can take your gas, they can take your gold, but under Executive Order 13603, there's a provision for the allocation of civilian labor. That's right, you. If you have a special skill, if you're a doctor, a welder, a mechanic, or just a warm body capable of digging a ditch, the government can requisition your labor. This is the one nobody talks about. You plan to be a lone wolf protecting your homestead, but suddenly you're drafted to fill sandbags 3 counties over because you made the mistake of registering your certifications with the state. The myth is that your skills make you valuable to your family. The reality is that your skills make you valuable to the state. How do you hide yourself? You practice strategic incompetence. On paper, be boring. Don't brag about your survival skills on Facebook. Don't have certified medic stickers on your car. Be the gray man on the database. Be useful to your tribe. Be useless to the bureaucracy. Here's something to keep in mind. The government isn't necessarily the villain in their own story. They're trying to keep a sinking ship afloat by grabbing whatever buckets they can find. The problem is that you are the bucket. If you take nothing else away from this, remember, possession is 9/10 of the law, but anonymity is 10/10 of survival. It doesn't matter what you have if the wrong person knows you have it. If this knowledge saves your life someday, or at least keeps your pantry safe from Kevin and his clipboard, you know what button to hit. Now that you know what they'll take, you need to know where to go when staying home is no longer an option. Click this video right here to see the only bug out locations that actually work. I'm Fallout Dude, by the way. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and drop a comment. Oh yeah, the music you're listening to, it was made by me. Please listen to it for a couple of minutes. This is to allow me to earn more to make more videos. Thank you.
Go away, cat. What? Strange animal. Better welcome. The cat's come to say hello. Who that? Who that? You're a good mate, aren't you? You a good puss? You a good puss? Good cat, this one. You don't buy many good cats. I'm actually not a cat person at all. But our cats are cool, aren't you? You're like a dog cat. Not cat dog, dog cat. Huh? Yeah. Something if she doesn't hit the fan anytime soon, I'll don't know what we'll do. Jamie Daniels' cat, he relies on Tigger. Don't know what we'll do there. Hopefully we can bug in and look after our cats. Why? Well, you know, they're family too, aren't you? They're family too. Hello to people. Hello. Hello. Hello people. But. Yeah. Hope that was informative to you. But, you know, they're already on to that, aren't they? They're already on to that. Just think about it. Think about everything. How is that relevant to where we're already at? Where we've already been coming from? Think about Mr. 19, you know, and the arm tickets and all that. So everyone's going on about here in Australia about, oh, I'm not going to comply, I'm not going to do the digital ID, I'm not going to do the digital... It's already been done. You already did it. Right, your social distancing registrar and all that shit, you've already done it. They've already got all your biometrics, facial, all that. Everyone in Burnie, remember how they used to have the old, what they called the hairdryer speed camera on the side of the cars? And there's one that gets around like that. It's not a speed camera. It's a facial recognition camera specially designed for biometrics, and sending all of that to a database. Did you know that? Also, did you know about, have you noticed up in the sky them funny looking stars that don't quite look right? Yeah, what do you think they are? The drones, right? They're like, they call them a low orbit satellite or a high orbiting drone. How do they stay up there? Well, some people think that they're suspended just in the right spot, but I call bullshit on that. Because I've seen them move. So they're obviously drivable. They can obviously manoeuvre them. That being the case, they must have motors and fans, propellers. What powers them? Oh gee, I don't know. Maybe they charge all day from the sun? Solar powered? Makes sense to me. And at such a high altitude, where the gravity is so low, doesn't take much to keep them up there. Doesn't take much at all. What do you think they're doing? Who do you think owns those? How do you think Google Earth and Google Maps works? Oh, never thought of that, did you? What, do you think it's all just run off one satellite that just kept going around the world? No. Why would they do that? That's way too much money and way too much risk of damaging technology when they can just send a little drone up there and, oh, well, that one shit itself, just send another one up, and it pre-positions itself into a grid of a swarm drone technology. You see, I'm not that technologically dumb as you think. I can work out most stuff if I have to. I just refuse to. Why? Because I'm not complying. Not only am I not complying, I'm getting a little pimple or something there, it's annoying me. I'm not having anything to do with it. I'm not with any of the system. I'm staying out of it as much as I can. You can't buy the system. It's designed for you to use against yourself, thinking that you're using it in your favour. None of it's in your favour. I'm not engaging. Have a phone? Yeah. In my name? No. Just about outlived its usefulness. I'm probably going to give it away and snap the SIM card in half and just go back to using UHF or something. My only digital footprint that I have now is this. This is it. You're watching it. You got email now and then. Letters to the editor at the Advocate. Basically, it's an IP address on a computer, and that's all you got. And see, MyGov, sorry, no details attached to it. Oh, there is. To an old phone number that I don't have anymore, and I can't access it, don't use it, so they're not getting any updates on me with it. Why? It's none of their fucking business. That's how you have, it's the only way we're going to bring it down. We have to starve it to death. Make it irrelevant. You don't need it, you know. Take it from a Gen Xer who spent a fair bit of time with my World War II grandparents. Here's something for you. What's so crazy about a prepper? Really? You know, prep is just short for being prepared. It's preparedness, which means, do you have any money saved for a rainy day like your parents and grandparents used to do? Just putting a bit away for a rainy day in case of emergency. Bit extra food now and then, just in case you have an unexpected expenditure that you have to put out. Unforeseen circumstance to pay for. An emergency of some sort. Somebody breaks their leg or something stupid, or just stupid things. You get stranded somewhere because your car broke down and you have to get it towed. So, you know, you put a little bit of each sort of all sorts of things away so that alleviates a bit of money in a pinch if you need it. That's all a prepper is. Just someone who has the foresight to make sure that they're not trying to fix a problem in hindsight. It's being proactive instead of reactive to perpetuate normalcy of life for the ones that you love. Now, if you're not doing it, you're a fucking problem. Why? Because you're going to be a burden on everyone. Don't do that. That's shit. That's a shit. When the fucking penny drops, when shit happens, shit hits the fan, shit, I don't know, I'd say it one word, doesn't really work, does it? It's HTF. Things get tribalistic if you don't have a community that you can bounce off of and take care of. I've got normalcy Norman living one side. I've got a bit of a problem with where I am. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with it at this point. I've got normalcy Norman on one side, who seem to rely on the just-in-time system that we have, just-in-time delivery system that we have, where I'd say if we had a grid down for a week, they'd be fucked. And they'd be a burden, and they have a kid with pretty bad autism. The other side, we've got a bunch of fucking crackheads. They won't be too much of drama. They're used to going hungry. People across the road, don't know. They're nice people, and I'd like to think they seem to have their heads screwed on a bit. I wouldn't mind betting they got a little bit put away for a rainy day. And they seem to have their head screwed on. I wouldn't mind betting they're probably on a similar page to me. Knowing your neighbourhood. Having people you're prepared to do life with, you know, those that will perpetuate normalcy. The problem, the biggest problems are the lone wolves. They're only a short-term problem that have to be dealt with quick, straight up. Because a lone wolf that knows that you have something, lone wolves do tend to find other wolves that they can whack it over. All right, you got your alpha lone wolf and your beta lone wolf. An alpha's not worth much to the community, and neither is a beta. Sigmas, yeah, they're good. A sigma's good. People with controlled aggression, a proper man. An alpha's not a proper man, and a beta is not a proper man. A beta looks for an alpha to protect them, and an alpha looks for a handful of betas to do their fucking dirty work for them. Little lackeys, you know. That's how criminals work. That's a jail mindset. It's a prison mindset. How do you... Security. How do you protect your family, you know? But coming back, we'll reel it back to Mr. 19. The arm tickets and all the social control mechanisms that they tried on us during that time. It was just a trial, trust me, it was a dry trial run. That had a secondary motive. Getting that brain fog, mind numbing, yes, master, zombie fucking graphene oxide in there, that's also a tracking device. I've seen footage, real footage, of people where there's a certain camera. There's a certain like a signal transmitter in a shopping store, and it was picking up everybody that had been vaccinated through walls, through the shelves of the aisles in the aisles of the shopping centre. When the person disappeared behind something, the red square followed them everywhere they go. People who hadn't had it, there was no square, and when they walked behind a wall or a shelf, they disappeared. You couldn't see them. Yeah, you had them jabs, you've got a tracker inside you. It's called nanotech. Nanotechnology fobbed off as spike proteins. Well, no, there was spike proteins in it. The spike proteins is what attaches the nanotech to your DNA. So it groups together and then forms itself to the right order to create that little circuit. And the energy that runs through your nervous system is what powers it. Now, if you go back a few years, I remember having this conversation with Ken Dorsey about RFID chips, digital currencies, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and a cashless society back in 2015. I want to say 15, 16, thereabouts. Back when he was a customer of mine when I had a business. Councillor Ken Dorsey. Councillor Dorsey, who I believe is a globalist and a plant from the United States. I wonder if he renounces United States citizenship. I think he should be forced to do that or go back to America. They all should. Everyone that has questionable ties to somewhere else, either renounce it completely, fuck off back to where you came from. And others just fuck off back to where you came from. Penny Wong being one of them. Another conversation for a similar time. And how they take everything, like the arm tickets, like, you know, we accepted everything. How? Not by force. We did it to each other. We done it to ourselves. Your neighbours were your worst enemy. We policed each other. We didn't need the cops to do it. People were given incentives to not enforce you to do anything, but you won't have a job if you don't. You can't come in here if you don't. You can't do that if you don't. Where does it end? I'm about to tell you. You can't have a universal basic income unless you get whatever they tell you to get. Unless you do whatever they tell you to do, which is going to be a chip in the hand. Your Fitbit watch, your pedometer. The new iPhone reads everything about you. Everything. Heart rate. It can, from in your pocket, it can tell if you are inebriated or intoxicated and what with. It can tell your blood alcohol content, whether you've had any methamphetamine or whatever. Your heart rate. How big a stride you take when you walk. How much foot-pounds of pressure you put on each step when you walk. To tell if you walk evenly or lopsided. Why would that matter? Look for a guy that's walking lopsided that looks like he's got a sore right leg. Oh, I see. What else does it tell about you? Your body temperature. There's heaps. There's heaps it can tell about you. Like I said, your heart rate, the strength of your pulse, your gender, pheromones, hormones. Every time you look at your phone, think you just gave it your retinal scan, your voice biometrics, everything. Every time you touch your phone, you gave it your fingerprint. You've never thought about these things, have you? All under the guise of make America healthy again. But all the iPhones have got the tech worldwide. Who was it that said Benjamin Netanyahu, you know, BB, if you've got an iPhone in your pocket, you've got a piece of Israel technology in your pocket. He said that. You've got a piece of Israeli Mossad technology in your pocket if you own an iPhone. Wonder what other sort of features they have, like the exploding iPhones that were blowing people's dicks off, blowing people's legs off. You see, we're not going to need police. They're already obsolete. They're running around, look at my new toy. Yeah, you're the toy, idiot. You're training all of the technology that's going to be used against you. You're in trouble because you're going to end up on our side and we don't want you. We don't want you. You okay? Why? Because you're weasels. You can't be trusted. So you're going to be stuck between the hammer and the anvil, between the thin blue line and the people. The thin blue line is all going to be technology. They already have the drones. They already have the technology to switch off bank accounts. They've already done it. Look at the truckers in Canada. They just froze everyone's bank accounts. Froze PayPal. GoFundMe, everything. They just froze them into, look, this is what I say to you, this is how you have to, this is how we beat the system, but we're running out of time. What did they do to the truckers in Canada? They starved them into submission. No money means no anything. No access to anything. They couldn't get diesel or fuel for their trucks and vehicles. They couldn't get food. They couldn't get water. They would just leave, or it stays this way, and they had no choice but to leave. So if you think this thing with the farmers in Europe with their tractors and stuff is like, come on, get real. If that was real, they'd already be frozen into starvation. Everything would be shut down. These people wouldn't be able to put diesel in their tractors. Wake up to yourself. And this is how they do it. They've learned how to do it without needing tanks. They've learned how to do it without needing Stasi police and Auschwitz concentration camps. They don't have to put you in the ovens anymore. Oh yeah, there's camps. What do you think all the so-called quarantine facilities were that were built everywhere during COVID that never got used? And they've been sold for peanuts into private companies, and they're still sitting there empty, by the way. What do you think the detention centre's for down Hobart? That's empty. I've been saying this for the longest time. When they first built that detention centre down there, somehow they don't have an Ashley's. They don't have a youth detention centre, but yet there's an empty detention centre. And which way does the fence lean with the razor wire? Inwards. That's to keep people in. Inwards and outwards. It's to keep people in and out. It's a prison. It's a work camp. It's on agricultural land. You're going to be working that land and feeding people if you get stuck in there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm in trouble. Look, there's no way this government's going to let me have my firearms back. I can't see it happening. Not unless we unionise and walk away. We create our own community, our own social cohesion. We let them have the scumbags. Here, these are your scumbags that you've been using to fuck up our communities. You're useful idiots, you're crabs in the bottom of the bucket. Here, have them. We don't want them. They're yours. They're your fucking gronks on the cop payroll that you've let out of prison over and over and over again. That you let out of prison and give them a bag of drugs and a motorbike and whatever else to fuck up the communities. They're yours. A lot of these gronks don't even get it. They don't even know. They don't even get it. Why do you think the suppliers never get stopped? Why do you think the supply keeps flowing? I've been trying to tell you this for the longest time. The supply doesn't stop because the supply is too useful to them, to the government, to the government, not our government. We don't even have one. We have people that represent the government to us, not us to the government. There's no such thing. What do you think the government is in foreign territory in a nation of states? And why do you think that the Port of Darwin belongs to China and Pine Gap is in the Northern Territory? They're foreign territories. They're not even part of Australia. We just think they are because it's on the same chunk of dirt. So what's funny is I've known all this since I was a kid. I have. I'm not fucking bullshitting you. I'm not pulling your leg. I've known all this since I was a young fella. I was about 8 when I started learning it, 7 or 8. Well, before that. My grandfather was setting me up to learn stuff, not brainwash me, not indoctrinate me, to teach me to critically think, so I could follow this. He taught me to be able to carry on his works and his legacy by my own findings, at my own will, at my own leisure, so that it wasn't brainwashed, to teach me how to dawn upon these things myself. Why? Because that's the only way you get the truth. Otherwise, you're just parroting shit that somebody else put in your head. It was like the late 1980s when my grandfather told me that something was going to happen to enact a fucking firearms safety fucking agenda in this country. Some kind of fucking crisis. He said they're going to manufacture a crisis to take everybody's guns off them within the next 10 years or something, he said to that effect. Paraphrasing a little bit, like, you know, I'm going back to when I was a kid, a school kid. Pretty young. High school. 1996, I'm living in the mainland working at highway panels in Portland in Victoria, and I heard it come across the radio and it was like word for word. I dropped the shit that was in my hands, like, the fuck? Here we go. I knew it was go time then. It's been go time for a long time. It doesn't happen like that. How do you think wars begin? What, do you think that somebody one day decides, oh, let's go to war and start shooting bullets around? Not how it works. It takes a good few decades to set up the worldwide game of chess. War is chess. It's a worldwide game of chess. If you go back quite a few videos now, you'll see how I explain how the world is controlled and manipulated into manufacturing consent and social engineering to create an environment where we will accept mass murder on somebody else's shores. On how we will commit murder ourselves to lower the population. In order to maintain the hierarchy of power how it's been ever since Augustus Caesar, Julius Caesar's father. That's how far back this shit goes. That's how far back I've studied to figure this shit out. I don't give a fuck about your irrelevant history. I've studied back further than that. How far back have I studied? I've really studied a long way back. I sleep with this damn thing next to me. It's just always. Why? Because I'll keep finding stuff in it that's relevant. Not just for the scripture readings, but how things that happen, and I find it in there on how it's used against us. Okay, it's the Bible, yeah. What else is it called? Like I say, English literature is important. How it's spelt, it's not quite as important. Punctuation, a little bit important. Breaking down the words to find their true meaning. Why do you think it's called script yours? Scriptures, script. Not only is it God's script, they figured that out. The Romans figured that out, created the Roman Catholic Church. They took Christ's teachings and created a religion and a script for themselves to follow by using the script. They're using our own script against us. They figured out how to create a system that we use against ourselves by using the script itself. Whether you believe in end times or not, you can't deny that they're manufacturing an end times. A book of Revelation. They are manufacturing a man-made book of Revelation But nobody even seems to grasp the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who is in heaven, holy is his name. His kingdom come, his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Earth is in heaven. It's here. It's not going anywhere. And when does this all happen? When we bring back Christ. If you want him to come back, then you've got to be worthy of it, don't you? You've got to bring him back. Stop over-exaggerating the eccentricities of complications to something that's really simple. Like I said, Yahuwah behold, nail, hand, nail. Nail, behold, hand, behold. Okay, I'm not going to get too technical into that. I'm still learning on that myself. On the 4 words of Yahuwah's name. Do you want to know why Jehovah's full of shit? Because there's no J in the Hebrew or Aramaic language. There's no J and there's no vowels. The vowels that are in there were written in there so to help us figure out how to pronounce the words, is all. To make sense of the teachings. But Yahuwah, Yeshua, Yahuwasha actually translates to Joshua. You'll see that in the last video I've done on Psalms with Bear, and he explains it perfectly. If you don't believe in Christ, I don't really care, even though there's only, 25 or something bona fide records, like legitimate records of Genghis Khan, but there's over 26,000 of them for Christ. 26,000 records from all different places. Africa, Roman census records. You know, the census that we have, the national census, Roman census record. They've been around a long time, these census records. They know how old you are, where everyone lives. They know everything about you. What do you think census records are for? Now they don't need them. Why? Digital ID. Your iPhone. All the shit on paper just became fucking obsolete. What do you think the databases are for that are being built all over America? All over the world? Why do you think Marinus Link is really being built? It's got nothing to do with fucking Melbourne having brownouts and carrying on. They could build bloody hydro power stations just like we've got in Mildura. Up the Murray River. A bigger, mightier river than the Pieman. The mighty Murray. We were building hydroelectric power stations in the early 1900s. Like, we're talking like nearly 100 years ago. Early to mid 1900s. Older even. 1800s, I think. I might go back. It was a long time ago. No, it was 1900s. Yeah, it was definitely 1900s. About 100 years old. We've got hydroelectric power stations about 100 years old and they're still operating, still working today. The Great Lakes Hydro Power Station. Yeah, there's more than one hydro power station in Tasmania. It's got nothing to do with hydro power and everything to do with data transfer. what you can send electricity through, you can send data transfer through, because it's all going to be fibre optic. The Basslink has fibre optic cables through it. The internet goes down, but we still have a national intranet for the government. Even if all of our internet goes down, there's still a government intranet that still functions. When your internet don't work, and everyone else's internet don't work, you can guarantee the internet at the cop shop still works, at the council still works, at the local parliament house still works. Service TAS, they still have a means of their internet working. Well, you think they'd risk losing all that data from a long-term blackout? Like I said, how do you think they take shit? How long they've already been doing it? How long have they been doing it? They've been doing it for a long time. They manufacture consent through legislature, false flag operations. Hegel's dialectic of a bad thesis and an even word antithesis. So the end result is the solution that we don't actually want. We wouldn't accept it if we was asked. Manufacture the right problem and we'll beg for it. Been doing it for years. How do you think they enacted the Patriot Act? Which affected the entire Western world, by the way. That originated where? Say it with me now. Israel, Israel, Israel. The empire of the Roman United States of Israel. Where would that head office be? The first established foreign territory in a country that is an empire that murdered the world's first and only perfect man. Vatican City. The Vatican City is a foreign territory in Rome. It has its wall round it, it has its own police, it has its own laws. No police, no other jurisdiction in the world has any authority over Vatican. But Vatican has authority over the rest of the world. They stole Christ's teachings, created a religion, and has been ruling the world with it ever since. The problem isn't Christ, the problem is religion. Once you figure that out, that's when you realise all this time you thought you was a Christian, you wasn't at all. Never too late to find Christ. Break down the 316 laws of Torah down to the 10 commandments, and if that doesn't work for you, you always have the golden rule and the Lord's Prayer, which is what? The rule of law and the law. Deuteronomy 6 verses 5 to 7. Go and read that. Put those together and it will go, ha, I get it now.